Once this land was revered, a gleaming beacon nestled between emerald hills and endless rivers, where harvests were bountiful and laughter spilled into the streets like sunlight. It had been a kingdom of prosperity, founded on peace and pride, where culture and courage walked hand in hand. Its people, though diverse in tongue and trade, were united by honor and ruled by a king known for mercy and justice, a man of iron will and golden heart. But that was long ago. Now rot festered beneath gilded walls. The streets grew cracked, choked with soot and silence. The proud marble statues that once adorned every plaza had been defaced or torn down. The people had grown hungry, starving not only for food, but for the days they once called theirs. In the heart of the crumbling capital, within a castle still adorned with velvet and flame, sat a woman more radiant than myth, Queen Elira. Her beauty could pause storms. Hair like woven sunlight flowed down her back in molten gold waves. Skin kissed with rose petal softness, eyes blue and cold as a glacier's heart. Draped in midnight silks and moonlight diamonds, she moved like the final sigh of a dying dream, slow, graceful, unforgettable. The cruel king, so they called him, was her husband. Tall, handsome, once beloved, his shoulders bore the weight of a kingdom that no longer adored him. He ruled with an iron word, but behind that word, behind every royal decree, behind each rising tax and broken promise, was her whisper. Unknown to him, she never asked to be queen. Elira had once been a princess of the West, an untouched realm of ivory towers and lavender winds, where artists carved prayers into stone and children fell asleep to the hush of silver rivers. Hers was a kingdom of peace, too beautiful for war. But beauty does not stop blades. She was only a girl when the sky darkened with the shadows of invading banners. What they'd been promised as peace talks became a massacre. She watched it all, pressed against a stone wall, hidden behind silk curtains, as fire swallowed her world. Screams echoed through marble halls. Her mother's perfume mingled with ash, and her father, once proud, defiant, fell to his knees, not by force but by betrayal. The kingdom surrendered, and Elira, the last flower of a fallen house, was taken. They called it unity. Raised beneath the roof of her conquerors, she wore silks instead of chains. But chains they were. Her tongue was silenced, her lineage erased. Her name, Elira, once meaning heaven's breath, became an echo spoken only by ghosts. When the crown prince, awestruck by her beauty, chose her to be his bride, she smiled like a good girl. They were wed beneath banners soaked in her people's blood, and still she smiled. For years she played her part. She smiled, nodded, wept at the right moments. She learned the art of influence, gentle suggestions dressed in silk, venom dipped in honey. He listened. He always did. He loved her too much not to. Now the people called him the tyrant. And she? She wore the title of victim, a quiet dove beneath the shadow she had drawn. Tonight the storm had arrived. Outside the castle, torches flickered like fireflies. The city was ablaze with outrage. Protesters lined the outer gates, their chants shaking the stone. Pots were shattered, carts overturned, symbols of the crown burned in the square. All demanded one thing: the king. Inside, silence. The grand dining hall was vast and dim, a cathedral of gold and stone. Shadows danced along the columns. A table stretched like a bridge between two worlds. At one end, the queen, poised and untouched. At the other, the king, eyes rimmed red from sleepless nights. The fire crackled behind them. the only light in the room save for the faint glow of lanterns from the protesting crowd filtering through tall French doors. The king placed his chalice down. The clink echoed.
Well, here we are.
Elira said nothing.
I've failed them, the people, this kingdom, you.
She delicately carved into her roasted pheasant, the soft clatter of silver on porcelain the only sound from her side.
I thought I could be better. For you. I thought, if I worked hard enough, ruled carefully enough, I could build something worthy of you.
His eyes searched her, desperate.
You were always my guiding star. Your grace, your strength, your beauty, it lit the path ahead. When I hesitated, I asked myself what you would do. And gods forgive me, I listened too well.
He stood slowly, pushing his plate aside.
I saw the discontent, the strain, but I thought, it's temporary. A king must endure storms to calm seas. And I could endure anything if I had your love.
Elira's knife slid smoothly through flesh.
I dreamed of children, a future with you, of sitting on this throne, not as ruler and queen, but as man and woman, flesh and soul. I would have torn down the sky to give you the stars, and still,
He faltered.
They call me cruel, they call me tyrant. Maybe they're right.
He turned to the tall windows, the flicker of riot fires reflecting in his eyes.
They don't understand what I've given, what I've bled. I gave them peace. I gave them the only thing a broken world has left. Order.
He slammed his fist against the table. The plates rattled. Elira did not flinch.
They are selfish, ungrateful. I gave them my soul, and now they gather like wolves to tear us apart.
His gaze softened. He looked to her.
But we still have each other. You, my queen, my heart, my everything. Let them howl, let them burn. If this is to be our end, let us face it together. And if there is another life beyond this one, will you still be mine in it?
He took a breath.
Elira, will you go into the next life with me?
She looked up at last. Her face was serenity incarnate.
No.
Silence fell. His lips parted, stunned. The air seemed to hollow. She rose like the moon from mist, her voice velvet and steel.
You were never mine. You were just a thread in the legacy I swore to unravel.
He blinked, not understanding.
I never loved you. You were chosen for me, son of the man who destroyed my father's kingdom. A crown forced upon my head, forged from the bones of my past.
She stepped forward, slow and deliberate.
I smiled while you slept. I sang songs to your name as I carved the rot into your reign. You were so desperate to be adored. You never saw the venom dripping from my tongue.
He stumbled back, breath ragged. Outside, the crowd roared louder. The windows shook.
I thought I could save you.
You were never strong enough to save me.
The king stood, slowly at first, then a jolt. He shoved the ornate chair backward with a violent screech against the marble, the sound echoing like a blade unsheathed. His breath was wild, eyes wide, hands trembling. He stormed down the length of the table, the torchlight of the roaring hearth, catching on the tears streaking his cheeks. Plates clattered from the force of his stride, the paintings above them, of old glories, of peace, of love, watched in haunting silence.
You! How long? How long have you?
She remained seated, still, regal, her pale hands folded delicately in her lap like nothing had changed, like she hadn't just peeled back the skin of his entire soul with words.
I loved you.
And then, a sound like breath through silk. His words faltered. He looked down. Her hand was still in her lap. But the other, The other held the ornate dining knife now buried in his chest. It had pierced him perfectly, angled upward through cloth and ribs into his heart. He staggered, his mouth opened, but no words came, only blood. He dropped to his knees, staring up at her as though trying to wake from a nightmare. She stood slowly, towering now, her golden hair catching the firelight like a crown of sunlit threads. He collapsed backward, the grand table beside him looming like an altar. The fire crackled, and outside the castle walls the riots grew louder, like a storm preparing to swallow the world. He reached a trembling hand toward her, pain warping his voice into a croaking whisper. His vision dimmed, flickering.
In the next...
The world seemed to hold its breath. She stepped forward, heels clicking softly against the marble. Kneeling beside him, her face hovered inches from his, radiant, calm, impossibly beautiful. Like an angel delivering benediction, she cupped his bloodied cheek, smiled sweetly.
No.
She stood. Moments later, the grand terrace doors creaked open. The crowd below turned, the flames of the riot reflected in thousands of eyes. And there she stood, Queen Elira, cloaked in shadow and firelight, her silken gown soaked crimson, her hands wet with blood, in one of them, the severed head of the king. She lifted it high, gasps cracked through the crowd like thunder. And then, cheers, screams, ecstasy. The tyrant was dead. With grace like descending judgment, she removed the golden crown from his bloodied head. She let the head fall, thud, onto the marble at her feet. She placed the crown atop her own. Her chin lifted. Her blue eyes burned like stars. And the people roared, not in justice, not in peace, in awe. The Blood Queen had risen.